I'm Joe Kistel, and today I'm going to do a complete coolant change on a Toyota Scion TC 2005. A lot of people often overlook the importance of doing a coolant change, but it is pretty significant, and one of the main reasons is this. You got to remember that your radiator is metal. You have water and coolant circulating through your radiator. What happens is that metal will rust over time. That rust will break off and actually circulate through your cooling system, and that's bad. You don't want chunks of things circulating into your engine's plumbing. So what I want to show you today is that it's relatively simple to do this. You just have to take some precautions in mind and work carefully. So first, and this is very important, before you do any work like this, you want to make sure your car is completely cool. If you were to open your radiator when the engine's hot, it will squirt out scalding hot fluid that will severely burn you. So make sure your engine's completely cool. And before you go any farther, I want to make a little note about antifreeze and coolant. It's actually a very toxic material, so you want to make sure that you make every effort to capture this fluid and dispose of it appropriately. You open your hood and you'll see the radiator cap on the front passenger side of the vehicle. And the drain plug is a little trickier to find, but basically it's at the bottom of the radiator on the driver's side. We take the radiator cap off, and then what we're going to do is we're going to place our pan underneath the car. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach down in here and I'm going to open the drain cock and let the fluid drain out of the radiator. So here's our coolant. It actually doesn't look too bad in this case, but if it was real bad, it may be kind of thicker, kind of rusty, brownish looking. That's a sign that you've let it go too long. So you really want it to be pretty clear when you're changing. That means you're doing your maintenance good. But so our coolant looks good in here. We're just going to do one flush and we should be good to go. So even though we drain the radiator, we still have old coolant in the car. And what it is you have remaining fluid that's going to be stuck in the engine block and perhaps some fluid in your heating coil. So we need to get rid of that to do a complete flush. So here's how we do that. We're going to go ahead and replace our drain cap back on the bottom of the radiator. Now we need to refill the radiator with water. Fill it all the way up with water, replace the cap. Go ahead and start your car. We want to let the car warm up all the way to normal operating temperature. So what I do to speed it up, I actually turn the AC on. That will actually speed up the car's heating process. Once the car gets to what you think is normal operating temperature, go ahead and turn the AC off. Actually turn your heater on. After 10 to 15 minutes, turn the car off. Go ahead and let the car completely cool. What we're doing is this. The warm car will mean that the thermostat in the engine block is open. Now that's allowing coolant to circulate with that new water we put in there. So now you have that new water circulating all the way through the engine. The fact that you have the heater on is doing the same thing with the heater coil. The heater coil is going to be open up. That old fluid that's in there is now washing out the water we put in. So this is where we're getting our entire flush in. Now we can go ahead and repeat the first drain process. Carefully remove the cap. Maybe go ahead and use a rag to open the cap in case something were to squirt out. Go ahead and drain the radiator again and capture the fluid that comes out of there, because even though there won't be nearly as much coolant remaining in there will be some, so you want to capture that and dispose of that appropriately. Again, at this point, evaluate the stuff that comes out. It should be pretty clean at this point, but if it's really gnarly, you may want to go ahead and repeat this flush process one more time or several more times until the fluid comes out pretty clean. Alright, so this is proof that when we drained the radiator the first time, we didn't get all the coolant out of the engine, because look, it's still pretty pink. So now that our radiator is completely flushed and drained again, we need to go ahead and fill it with new coolant. So what I'm going to use in this situation, I'm actually going to use a pre-diluted mix. Just went to the local car store, picked this up. It's already diluted appropriately. So all I need to do is open this up, pour it into the radiator, and fill it all the way to the top. Once the radiator appears full, what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze the soft pipes that are near the radiator, and what this does, if there's any air bubbles trapped in the radiator itself or in the tube, this is going to help release those. Go ahead and place your radiator cap on, and at this point go ahead and go for a short drive, just 5-10 minute drive. When you come back, let the car cool again for at least an hour. Carefully inspect your fluid levels again, and if for some reason low, just top them off. When you're running the car, it may have dislodged some more air bubbles. I forgot to mention your car is going to have a reservoir on it, so we want to get rid of the fluid that's in there. So to remove the reservoir, we just have this one bolt here, I believe, so we're going to take it out. I'll take the whole canister out, dump it into my container, place it back in the car, screw it back down, refill it with new coolant. Pretty easy. So there you go, that's pretty much it. It's a relatively simple project. Again, just take some precautions. I hope this is helpful, guys. Go ahead and give it a stab, just be careful, and I think you'll do great. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Kistel.